What's up, Patriots? Today on the show, is Trump losing the support of MAGA and is the right fracturing? Gen Z is becoming more radical and the Supreme Court declines to take up the issue of gay marriage. All that and much more on Squirrels and Suits. So, first story, Obergefell, 2015 Supreme Court decision that legalized gay marriage. There's been some concern in the last couple of weeks that the Supreme Court could take it up and use the precedent set by the overturning of Roe v. Wade to overturn gay marriage. As of a couple of days ago, as reported by CNN, the Supreme Court is declining to take up this issue. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this all started because of one person.
Kim Davis, the county clerk in Kentucky.
Yeah, the one that got arrested.
Failing to issue marriage license to gay couples.
That is correct. Yeah, she failed to issue them, and then she got arrested, and now she's coming back with a vengeance. So she wanted to file this on her own, and I feel like a lot of the news headlines are kind of painting it as a whole MAGA movement, which it's not. It's one lady who has opened this to the Supreme Court to bring it to the table. CNN, I went to CNN because, I wanted to show all sorts of different types of media.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was on the 7th that they had reported that it was going to be discussed that coming Monday. And the coming Monday was the 10th of November, and the Supreme Court declined to revisit it.
I mean, this is kind of like a smart political move. Trump and the White House and just basically all of conservative media does not need another, firestorm to put out. This would kind of be a 5-alarm fire. But I still make the argument that Obergefell was a bad decision for the same reason that Roe was a bad decision, and that is justices are making legislation instead of Congress where it should be. Roe and Obergefell took the power of legislation away from the states and vested it in the federal government, who, by judicial diktat, made law when that is not their role under the Constitution. So that's why I say it's a bad decision that needs to be revisited.
I don't feel like it's the time to revisit it right now. If it were to be a serious thing that, had backing besides this one woman, just in our current landscape, I don't think.
Well, does this law force pastors to marry people, or is it judicial marriages only, or that's my question, because you can't force a religion to, for example, take Christianity or even Islam or these other religious groups. You can't force them to marry people.
You imagine someone going to a mosque and being like, we want to get married?
Wouldn't it be like the cake bakers being able to turn down services? Wouldn't that be a normal thing?
Well, it's my argument. I mean, the slippery slope argument, it's in debating world and philosophical world, the slippery slope argument is known as a fallacy, but it's not always a fallacy. Because a lot of conservatives, when the whole gay marriage debate was raging, circa 2010, 2012, a lot of conservatives made the argument that where does it stop? Where does this stop? I took issue with, transgenderism. Not that I hate those people or don't have sympathy for them in the position. I can't imagine what it's like to feel like something's wrong with your body. That's crazy. That would be a crazy mental place to be in. Matt Walsh and Daily Wire did a great job of exposing this whole thing that was going on in the country where, children were being given gender reassignment surgery. They were being given hormone blockers and puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones and all this other kind of stuff. And the next logical question is, well, if children can decide what body they're in at age 3 or 4, why can't they decide who they love?
Yeah, no, that's definitely
It's that slippery slope.
a bigger slippery slope than the marriage.
But that's the next logical step.
Because
it is.
the next step is transgender and kids being able to choose the gender that they want to be and everything else.
I mean, that's been a thing for a while. It's just now kind of reverting back, trying to take control of that a little bit more.
We have a lot of detransitioners now, and their suicide rates are still skyrocketing.
Well, and then there's the whole violation of the Hippocratic Oath and the destruction of mores and values and traditions happens over a period of time. It's very rarely radical or all at once. I mean, radical just means quickly. Like the revolution in communist China when Mao had like basically everything of their history erased that he could get his hands on so that he could rebuild China in his image. And like that is the purpose of radical or fast movement. I don't know. I feel like these people that are on the side, the Katie Porters of the world, if they're given true and free reign, then they are going to push this and they are going to keep marching down that road because that is the leftist cause. The leftist cause, there is always a victim and it must never end because then they lose power. I don't know. I think all this is kind of tied up into one thing, but it's also a very sensitive topic because as an American, like you're allowed to live in the way that you choose within certain left and right boundaries and constraints of society. And my personal opinion, like if you're in the privacy of your own home and you're doing whatever you want with members of the same sex or multiple people, it's not my business. It's not my personal morality, but it's also not my business. Now, when you put it on display and then you try and indoctrinate children in schools or in libraries or whatever it is, okay, now I start having a little bit more of an issue with it. I don't know. It was incremental change, like the whole gay marriage movement, and some of it most people are okay with. The majority of Americans are okay with, and I think that's a happy medium we should stay in. But then it goes any further, we should probably stop it.
And that's the big thing, is like you said, like the putting it into our schools, into our books, and all this other stuff that are in the kids' libraries. And that that the same people that are saying that these books should be there would be upset if the Bible was there. The problem in the culture today is the left is trying to get away with as much as they possibly can, and then trying to make it normalize sex, normalize heathenism.
Heathenism.
Yeah, like you shouldn't.
Let's make it biblical, man. Come on.
Well, you shouldn't be having showing kids pornography. Like I wouldn't want my kids to see straight stuff in school. Like that shouldn't be in school. Period. Like that's not. I mean, there's a difference between like a health class and then an indoctrination class to sexualize children to steal their innocence away, and that's what I have an issue with. I don't want sex to be talked about at school. Period. Like, it's not their job to parent the kids. Like, that's our job as parents to parent our children. I don't want any of it in school. You can talk about the STDs. You can talk about like the biological terms for parts and whatnot. Doesn't mean they actually need to see the parts and everything else.
Do you know why sex ed was started? So, to combat teen pregnancy. So that's why sexual education was started, right?
Yeah.
And it has morphed into what we have today. So let me ask you a question. Do you want children being taught about sodomy?
No.
No, of course not.
Okay. So then we have this interesting question with Obergefell and legalizing gay marriage and all those kinds of things. I'm not saying that people that don't love each other, if they don't subscribe to my personal morality, they shouldn't be able to do it in America. But if gay marriage is legal, what's to stop teaching children about sodomy or homosexual relationship?
Because it's two different things. One of them is a legislative thing, as long as they're not getting married under an actual like religion. Like, for example, like I can't accept someone's marriage if they're a gay couple that get married under God. I'm like, I can't. Like, I'm sorry. Like, that's biblically not what God is okay with.
Right.
Like, versus, oh yeah, we got married in a courtroom because this is my legal right to be able to do so for X, Y, and Z benefits, as if I was a straight couple. So it comes down to if people look at their marriage as actually biblically married, or if they look at it as, well, this is what I'm doing because this is the person I want to be with, and X, Y, and Z. Like, and that's different than, hey, I'm going to teach you sodomy in the classroom.
I know, but
I don't think they correlate. Just like straight sex wasn't, like, you didn't watch porno in sex ed when it first started.
They're teaching masturbation in classes.
Some teachers have gotten in trouble for that.
They've been arrested for it. But
Yes.
it's still happening in it. Like, one teacher was on a desk demonstrating with her legs open how to masturbate.
Are you serious?
With toys even.
With toys.
Yeah. Not even joking.
So
that was a real thing.
I'm just like putting some extra wood on the fire here with this question, because if gay marriage is legal, what is the legal prohibition for teaching children about sodomy? If
We
we have
shouldn't
to
be in
treat
school, period.
Like, no, I agree with you. I say none of it should be in school. I think that should be in the home, and parents should take back control of their children. There was a scientist in some kind of like meeting, right? And they were discussing parenting and prenatal development and early child rearing and all this kind of stuff. And they said that the scientists know better than the children about what they need.
I saw that.
You saw that too?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not crazy. I didn't have a stroke
It was
moment.
it was like, we know better than the parents because I'm a scientist. It was that kind of ego.
Not. So I'm sorry, parents do not know best. Scientists know the best. Experts know the best. So I strongly support the standard and to enable and empower all students to feel safe, educated, knowing who they are, and knowing that it's okay to be who they are.
It was the arrogance, right? It was our moral and intellectual superiors.
You know, the only thing I would say as a female growing up that would be good in school is having a female-only class, right? Which would pertain to people who actually have periods, right? I'm not saying
Not people,
transgender.
women.
Yeah, women, right, that have periods, is a class on that, like how to use it, how to take care of yourself, what to expect, because not all those kids go home and have that kind of support. They might be raised by a single father who may not understand or have experience with it. Or they may be raised by a mom who has no interest in teaching their daughter how to, take care of that. I understand that in a health class with just girls, but as far as sex goes, that needs to be left to the parents to handle.
I don't think you need to teach the mechanics of sex to kids.
They're going to figure it out.
Like I mean, the very fact that we are sitting here right now is evidence that people will figure it out, right? Now,
They didn't have it back in the day.
yeah. So, I mean, it's like, people that are like, oh no, the illegals are getting, kicked out of the country. We're not going to be able to build homes. Listen, we knew how to build homes before the illegals are here. Same principle applies in my opinion. But
They always wonder why the wages don't go up. That's what.
it's slave labor. We can't compete with slave labor.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it is. But that just to stay on topic, like I don't want sex education in schools at all. Like, period. Except, hey, practice safe sex if you're having it. Like, here's condoms. I mean, birth control and contraceptives are widely available if that, comports with your personal morality.
How do you feel about the class where you get a fake baby and you have to take care of it?
I think that's a good idea.
I think that's a good idea.
And then I
it's a great
think they
idea.
should teach them about the STDs too, though.
Yeah,
that way
sure.
it'll possibly scare them to be like, hey, maybe I shouldn't just be doing this. 'Cause
So I had to take a class like that when I was in school, and like I was already like properly indoctrinated, as a good religious Southern boy about, not touching women before being married and all that. But that class right there, that sealed it for me. Like it did for at least another year and a half. So
you're saying like every year and a half they need to make sure
Yeah,
that this
maybe-
class
maybe.
kicks around and be like, hey, let's avoid teen pregnancies. Just scare the crap out of them with STDs.
like
I
AIDS.
think that's a great.
Did you have any experience with sex ed class? Do you remember it? Because I vividly remember mine.
I don't really.
We didn't
remember
have anything like
mine.
that.
Mind you, I grew up in Seattle. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I was 10 years old, and I remember, I'm not to make a long story, but I was 10 years old, and I would come home with diagrams, and I'd have to like draw a line and be like, scrotum, this.
That's too much.
Shaft. I'd get like diagrams, medical diagrams, but then
It was ground zero for where this all started. Because my sex ed class was not like that whatsoever.
But then we also had this box, and the rule was whatever question you put in there, the teacher had to answer. So I had my sister, who's 5 years older than me and knew more. She is like, let me write some questions for you. She asked the most embarrassing questions, but there's no names on it. So the teacher would just turn red in her face, and she'd have to answer, what is a...
I'm glad they didn't put that box in like my classroom with the people that I grew up with, because that would have been.
I wouldn't even, if I was a teacher, I wouldn't even have read that. I'd be like, this is trash. Like, somebody's kid's messed up in the head already.
It was like an anonymous question too, right?
What would your sister even know about that at 15?
Because the night before, I guess they said it on like, it was a show kind of like Friends or a show like that.
I highly doubt it was Friends.
I don't think, it was a show like Friends. It was a sitcom or something. I don't know. They said something like
Was
that.
it a HBO late night sitcom?
I was watching TV with my sister. And then she started laughing, and I was like, what? She goes, nothing. And then I told her about the box, and then she was like, here, write this. And so that's where that came from. So.
Well, speaking of Seattle, a socialist has won.
Yeah, and
She's the mayor of
she,
Seattle.
her parents been paying her bills this entire
Victoria.
time. How crazy is that?
So first New York,
Uh,
then Seattle.
Well, I knew Seattle was going to be next.
Well, how did you know?
Because it's Seattle.
Because it's Seattle. Come on,
Yeah, that's like saying you're surprised who wins L.A. or
No.
San Francisco.
Seriously,
I'm
I
not
have- I
surprised.
have
I'm just saying
no-
why Seattle though.
Okay,
Why
I'm
be-
born and raised there. Like I'm surprised I escaped, but I escaped to Los Angeles, so it wasn't that.
From one.
Escape to Los Angeles.
Isn't there a movie called like
Isn't that a
Escape to
movie?
L.A. or something
Yeah,
like
isn't that a movie?
that?
I feel like that's a movie.
But I really have no desire to go back to Seattle and see people that I grew up with. I go there to see my dad, you know,
Yeah, your dad is a sweet
and
man.
then I'll go over to the tribe in Eastern Washington and see my family. But that's
Seattle is. It's Seattle. It's just like Portland is Portland.
what's next. on
Like
our
what?
list?
This is what I don't get is like their cities. They preach about all this stuff, but their cities have the most homeless people, the most crime, the most everything. That's the problem, and they can't figure it out.
Well, it's,
And they have the most say so in their states. I mean, that's why I always say I'm from the state of Jefferson.
it's like so.
Not northern.
Liberalism and Marxism, because this, make no mistake, people, like the modern fringe left, like the far left, they're openly calling themselves now socialists.
Well,
when what
finally,
they
if they-
really are is communists.
Yeah, well, that's the problem was they keep calling themselves liberal when they're not liberal whatsoever, and conservatives keep seeding that word. Like, stop. If somebody has a far leftist idea, you can't say you're not liberal. Stop giving them that title because that is not what liberal means. They're yeah, I can go on.
Yeah, but so I say we're going to, and that's one of our other our topics here, like Gen Z and Gen Alpha is going to be a very exciting time in American politics, and probably a very violent and deadly time.
Yeah, can't control or regulate their emotions.
Well, but the thing is, though, is I think Gen Alpha is going to surprise us a lot in the generation after them because conservatives are having way more kids
Yeah.
than.
So we've already been
left
saying
side.
that, but here's the thing: like leftists, they own the institutions, they own education. We have to start making inroads into education, or they're going to keep taking our children. It's like the trans movement. Like we're like, oh well, they can't produce kids; they're going to die off. No, they're after your kids, bro.
You know what we should do?
What?
We should make them have to do a business class of running a business and paying taxes to pay your employees. And then let's find out how many of them actually want all these other programs.
You suggested that last podcast.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to suggest it probably every podcast that this comes up with
But
what's going on because the fact of the matter is like when people actually learn how business works, they're like, oh, this is why mom and pop stores go under when we increase the minimum wage. This is why wages stagnate is because we are taxing people to pay people. And the more they pay people, the more they pay in taxes. The more everything else goes up, and they'll realize, hey, the way to grow wages is to not slam the business owner with all these taxes.
Like imagine, okay, just real quick, a bakery, right? And they sell muffins. Muffins are $3 each. They have 3 employees. They've got someone in the kitchen, someone at the front, someone doing everything else. So they have to sell at least 90 muffins an hour if they want the Mom Donnie's $30 an hour thing, right?
What he's doing?
He wants.
He
He
wants
suggested
30,
30.
yeah.
So you have to sell at least, I would say, 95 muffins an hour to just pay for the wages. That doesn't pay for ingredients. That doesn't pay for the light to stay on, the rent. It doesn't pay for insurances, permits.
Yeah, because it costs
Anything.
$101.07, and that's just the federal taxes
Yeah.
for paying. Like,
Well, no, we know
An
it
hour.
doesn't work. But so this Katie Wilson chick, that's the mayor of Seattle now, she went to Oxford University in England, one of the premier Western institutions.
is it though?
I mean, historically speaking, it absolutely is. Oxford and Cambridge.
Yeah, like
we all
historically
know
speaking.
those big colleges are left leaning. We all know that.
Oh, well, they're not
All of
just
them.
leaning, they're absolutely bonkers.
You know, the school that I go to, the college I go to, I appreciate it because they teach what they have to teach and they leave politics out of it. I can't really tell what the professors or instructors' like personal beliefs are, which is how I like it.
Well, that's how it's supposed to be.
Well, the problem with socialism is eventually you run out of other people's money, as we're seeing with Obamacare, another public priority that I'm sure Mom Donnie and Miss Katie Wilson supports. So the Democrats are hopping mad over this shutdown. That was one of their like negotiating points. They wanted Republicans to vote again on the Obamacare subsidies. Because what were we promised about Obamacare is that more people will be covered with health care, premiums will go down, blah, 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 blah. That's not happening. Without the government's help, without your tax dollars, Obamacare is going to triple in value and is going to be more of a tax burden on the American citizen. But I don't know. I think getting back to this Katie Wilson chick, I think the Pacific Northwest, beautiful part of the country, by the way. Absolutely love it up there. It is gorgeous. It is the People's Republic of whatever Miss Wilson comes up with, I guess.
It's the Chad,
No, it's not
the
a.
Chop.
The People's
It's not-
Republic
it's
of
not a
Chop.
it's not a republic. I think that's why, like, the state of Lincoln needs to happen, and Eastern Washington needs to break off from Western Washington.
I knew you were going to go there. I believe it.
Who would have thought?
Are you gonna lead the revolution?
Hey, maybe. I mean, I think it'd be great if you see the Greater Idaho movement move into Northern California and Eastern Washington.
Can we just somehow draw it so that we leave Spokane out too?
Isn't Spokane? I thought
Spokane
Spokane was
was
like a middle of the road kind of place, like a purplish place.
I feel like a lot of people in Seattle are moving to Spokane.
Well, that's what they do. They move out. Once they destroy the big, beautiful cities, they move out and they destroy everything else.
Well, see, Idaho was smart. They came up with their constitution before all the Californians flooded Idaho.
I feel like they would have had a state constitution a long time ago.
Yeah, but I think they put everything that they wanted into it before that happened.
Oh, they vote. You're saying
They made
voted
sure
on
that they're
amendments
just like,
and
boom,
stuff?
boom, boom, let's get these in place. So it's just not easy for them to come in and
Wait.
overturn. But I do hear that Boise's not doing too great.
What you were saying, though, about Seattle being beautiful, Pacific Northwest is gorgeous, right? Born and raised there. I left when I was 21. I love it. It's very depressing. There's a lot of people who are depressed, and it's the whole lack of sunshine and rain and gloom is a real thing. The doctor told me I was super vitamin D deficient, that once I moved to LA and I had been taking a large dose of vitamin D for about 3 to 4 months, my body would just start absorbing it. There's a lot of depression and mental illness.
Yep, because it's darker.
There's a lot of suicide. It's beautiful. We pay for the beauty with all the rain and the gloom. That's why everything's luscious and green. But I don't know. I feel like a lot of it has to do with seasonal, depression and all that.
Seasonal. I think they call it seasonal malaise.
Affective disorder or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But the same thing's true in Alaska. Like suicidality and alcoholism is rampant in Alaska. Alaska is beautiful by far. I mean, I've been a lot of places. I've been to almost 40 countries. I've been all over the U.S. Alaska is by far the most beautiful, like, natural landscape I have ever seen.
Can I show you
Period.
this picture that my father-in-law, his dad, sent us? It's gorgeous. Look at I'll put it up on the screen to show everybody. This was the Northern Lights the other night.
Yep. So I went to Alaska to see the Northern Lights.
He even said living in Alaska, this was the best he's ever seen it the other night.
Yeah.
Even better than going. So I went on a trip to Alaska several years ago because one of my goals was I want to see the Northern Lights. And I was like, oh, well, I'll go to Norway and I'll take a train and then ride a reindeer all the way north, Like,
Okay,
that would be
Santa.
cool. That would be a cool story, right? I'm going to get me like a reindeer coat or something like that. You know what I mean? But then I said, Alaska would be cheaper and a lot quicker. So I went to Fairbanks, Alaska, and then I went up to Chena Springs, which is north of Fairbanks, and that is where the road ends, my friends. There is nothing. There is no roads after that until you get to Barrow, and it's which is on the northern slope, like the top, very tip top of Alaska. You got like wilderness. You want the definition of wilderness? It's Alaska. But yeah, I had an absolutely wonderful time there. I mean, we have so much natural resource and beauty in America, and I am very, very grateful for it. Folks, if you have not seen the Northern Lights, you've got to put that on your list. And it kind of looks like a wisp in the air when it's not as completely bright or whatever. But when you put it under the camera lens of your phone, you see it and you're like, oh, wow, this is cool. So really cool story and experience for me. But I think, we talk about Katie Wilson and we talk about Mandani, and we're like, oh, well, this is just some crazy kids. They're, voting for this lunatic, and in 20 years when it's all ruined and burned to then they'll see the error of their ways and their senses. And I think that's an old conservative argument, which is like, oh, we'll get these guys on our team once they start paying taxes. And I don't think that's working. I don't think it's working at all, because colleges are factories for activists, I want to say. And even with TPUSA, Charlie Kirk was trying to create conservative activists as a balance against the left.
What do you think of implementing something that before you can even get a FAFSA loan, you have to do some sort of program in the field that you want to go to and do like an internship type thing where you have to first get approved to this program. Let's say you want to go into marketing. Okay, before you go and get a master's or a bachelor's in marketing, you have to spend time doing internship somewhere before you can qualify to go spend a bunch of government money and get into debt for a good degree you may never even use.
So totally against your idea. And I'm going to tell you why. Of course, because this is a podcast and that's what I should do. That's creating another government program that's going to cost money and ultimately be ineffective. The thing is, reality always wins unless you try and delay reality by using other people's money, aka socialism and communism.
It's free. It's an unpaid internship.
Well, who's going to set it up? It's going to cost money. You're going to have office staff, and you're going to have people that make these relationships with these certain firms, and they're going to have to go through the bidding process because it's a government contract. All of this costs money.
Well, in order to apply for, so let's say you go through and you have a bachelor's in communication and you can't get a job and you find a job and you hate it. It's like you're never going to use it. Now you're a barista at Starbucks and you have a communications bachelor's.
Well, that's your fault.
Yeah, it's your fault, but then you're also not paying your loan back, and now it's becoming an issue with taxpayers and having to do like whatever they're demanding that we pay off all their student loans because they're not using their degree.
Or we could just go back to common sense and let reality take the wheel. I don't think the government should be guaranteeing student loans because tuition cost has at least doubled ever since the government started guaranteeing student loans.
Then why do they hand FAFSA out so easily? Why can't, if it's not an internship, why can't they like submit something like a business or an idea or like what you're really going to do? People just pick a degree like, that sounds cool.
Because the government sucks at everything. Because the government is subsidizing college education, colleges and universities are under they're under no pressure to actually produce things that are valuable.
And see, that's where I think that the colleges should be the one that are fronting the student loans. And then if the kid doesn't come through and get a job, well, then the college loses money. And I also don't think kids should be doing should be forced to take classes that have nothing to do with the degree that they're going for, like the gender studies classes or anything that ends with studies. Not all, but most of the studies classes are just bullshit that the college requires people to take to get their degrees and things. And I think that they should be ran a lot more like trade schools than like what they are right now. Because if you think about it, like when you're paying per credit and then you have like a studies class that's like 3 credits and you have to pay for those 3 credits when your student loan, it just makes no sense because it has nothing at all to do with what you're actually going to be doing.
Did I tell you about the class I was forced to take when I was getting my AA and film degree?
No.
I had to take an anthropology class, and the very first, it was a mandatory class.
Sure.
The very first day, the instructor's like, okay, raise your hand if you're religious of anything, right? Christian, this, Buddhist, whatever. So a lot of us, most of us in the class, we rose our hand because we are of different faiths or whatever. She said, go sit in the back of the class, you're going to fail. Mm-hmm.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
Well, so education was pushed. I almost said pushed. Oh my gosh. Was pushed. I became Russian. I'm just kidding. I am not a Russian plant. I would never do that. Anyway.
Speak for yourself.
Speak for yourself, comrade. Yeah. So education was pushed by like boomers and then people on the left because they're like, oh, education is good because if people are smarter and more rounded and more educated, they can have better job opportunities. And this is going to reduce poverty, which is going to reduce crime. And none of that actually worked at all.
Well, because they destroyed the housing market and everything else.
Well, they
were our
everything.
politicians. Yeah,
everything has been destroyed. The universities, along with the mainstream media, are losing their gatekeeper status into American society because now we have alternative sources of media. We are alternative sources of media, like with our tens of viewers at this current time. But
Hi, Mom.
Hey. So we are definitely like an example of that, right? Because we have a computer. We have this wonderful thing called the internet. We can buy this little cool pod track box and microphones and like do our thing. And the same thing with education, because have you heard about the Peterson University?
No.
Mm-hmm.
So Jordan Peterson came up with this like online program. He calls it Peterson University. And basically the whole premise of it is you can get a bachelor's degree for like $500.
What?
You just have to attend his classes or whatever it is. And he draws from a bunch of universities and disciplines, from professors that volunteer their time, and they have a curriculum. I haven't like followed up on it lately, so I don't know how well it's doing.
Is it
Considering
credentialed?
Yes. So that's the thing. I think they are credentialed, but Jordan Peterson is ill. I don't know if you guys were following that, but he's very ill right now. He's kind of fallen off the scene. I'm glad I got to see him. I got to see him speak in California. That was a wonderful, wonderful experience. If you ever get a chance to do that, we wish Jordan all the best and hope he gets back to health. The universities and the mainstream legacy media are no longer the gatekeepers, and I think that is ultimately a good thing, because before they were given gatekeeper status and everyone was saying go to school, go to school, go to school, go to school, and because that's what I was told, right? That's what that was beaten to my head. I joined the Army. I became private leech so I could afford to go to school, right? And yeah, good experience. I'm not mad at it, but I think there were better ways to go about it. Like, because people need degrees now. Like, the colleges and universities have created a system where you are required to go through them to enter American society, right? They created degrees because the government subsidized it. Mm-hmm. So now, to do a job that takes a little OJT on the job training and just a little bit of gumption, you need to have a 4-year degree. And now that more and more people have a 4-year degree, now you have to have a master's degree. And once the market gets inundated with master's degree, then they're going to want a PhD for you to really stand out.
Yeah, I don't want to be like, I'm Dr. Kelly. I think it sounds so pretentious.
I'll show up for a physical.
Okay.
I mean,
My one and only client.
well, I'm stopping at a master's degree because I'm a master. That's good enough for me.
I'll have my master's in June of
So
26.
proud of you, by the way.
It's been a lot of work.
But I know we're kind of like dancing around the subject, but let's get on to this next little topic here. Is Trump losing the culture war with Gen Z?
Last I checked, he was winning.
I don't know. I don't think our country is winning with Gen Z. So only 27% of Gen Z respondents strongly agree that democracy is the best form of government.
What?
Well, constitutional republic is the best form, not democracy.
Well, I think that's what they mean. And this is according to Harvard.
Do they mean
right?
democracy or do they mean a constitutional republic?
I
Because
think
those are two different things.
I think what they mean in the context of this article, they're talking about all democratic Republican style governments. They're talking about anything that isn't fascist or communist. Mm-hmm. That's frightening.
Cool, because republics turn into democracies turn into dictatorships, and then it all falls apart, and then you don't know if you're going to get feudalism or a republic again.
Right. So we might be a little bit further down that road than
We could be a monarch again.
we could be. We were never a monarchy.
Well, I mean, like, again, meaning like we could try to go back to what we escaped from as America and get us a king, get him a real crown.
Do you mean an absolute monarch or do you mean a constitutional monarch?
Ooh, like doesn't Norway or is it one of those countries up there have I think it's Denmark or Norway that has a constitutional monarchy or something.
Yes,
like that.
so does England. England is a constitutional monarchy.
I watch enough Korean historicals to know that they don't work either. It's like you have all those like officials, and you got the king who pretends he's in charge, but it's usually the second guy who's like scheming. So I don't know, no matter what you do, no one person is ever in charge.
No, I'm a big believer in the republic.
So would you be advocating for then an absolute monarchy where one person absolutely is in charge?
No, because then that I definitely think it needs to be a group of people, especially people that have differing opinions and views. That way, there's checks and balances, and that total corruption can't occur.
See, I don't even think we should have just one president. I think it should be a triumvirate of 3. And that way, like the president, whoever gets the most votes, whatever, gets like 2 votes, but the other 2 can cancel him out.
We've had this conversation several times when we've both been drinking.
Yeah, I
and
know.
It makes me smile.
I think that it is the best form of government right there.
Yeah, we are the new Rome.
But you're saying that they want to go more towards,
Nova Roma.
like, where do they want to go towards? People from Harvard?
Well, this is like a Harvard poll, and there's some other statistics in there that are, I guess, kind of interesting, but this is the one that really stood out to me, is that 27% of Gen Z strongly agree that democracy is the best form of government. And there was another statistic, and it was something like 15%. Here it is. Only 16% believe that democracy is working well for young people. So that encompasses a lot of issues and a lot of topics of discussion. But that's frightening to me because that means our options are Marxism and fascism. And both of those are radical forms of government. They require they're revolutionary. They're revolutionary.
The problem with democracy is it's an authoritarian democracy because you have major cities that are dominating the politics that are neglecting most of the actual landmass of the country. And then we can get into like the illegal immigration with how they stack the numbers for the House of Representatives, electoral college votes, and things like that. And that's why I am a big believer in a republic and not just a democracy.
Yeah, but Gen Z doesn't want any of that. The majority of Gen Z says fascism or communism. That's the frightening thing, and it's because they don't see the current America that we live in. Mm-hmm. They don't see it working for them.
Well, no, because we're in an authoritarian democracy right now.
Well, yeah, the executive branch is like wielding power like a monarchy. They have more power than the King of England has since like 1815.
Yeah, like it's, and also like we have like we have like crony capitalism right now, not true capitalism like we used to have, and that's another big problem.
Well, the Democrats and not just the Democrats, but the politicians in general and the corporations are in bed with each other, and they keep scratching each other's back monetarily. Mm-hmm. Like we see that more.
That's why you see like Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, like, oh no, we need this covered by Medicare, Medi-Cal, and all this other stuff, and free health care for everyone, is because they're taking so much money from the pharmaceutical companies.
Well, they are. I mean, the insurance companies loved it when Obama was like, we're going to force everyone to buy insurance.
Oh, we can charge whatever we want now because the government's going to pay it.
And exactly. That's my point with education. That's my point with SNAP benefits and any kind of welfare. We're creating a system of dependency. And the problem with that, again, is eventually you run out of people's money. But the thing that's again, I'll say it, like if Gen Z stays on this trajectory and they're having less kids and Gen Alpha is going to be a smaller generation than Gen Z, I think we're heading towards, if we don't change trajectory, we're heading towards like political violent revolution.
Well, I mean, we're already seeing it.
Well, this is like a bleeding Kansas moment.
Yeah, and I think that, and you see it all around. Like, look what happened in Nepal. Look what's going on in Mexico right now.
Oh, did you see the article in Mexico? Gen Z, there's an anti-cartel Gen Z rebellion.
That's going on right now. Yeah,
that's exciting stuff.
Oh, you want to watch a video of it?
I do. You know, I want to see a video of it, and I want our tens of viewers to see a video of it too.
Which is a huge step. Can you imagine if there become like a Santa Ana guy that steps up in Mexico is like, you know what?
Santa Ana was trash.
Yeah, but he also ruled Mexico.
He was also
you didn't have like I know, but Mexico's thrived under dictators more so than they've thrived in what they have today.
Certain people in Mexico thrived under dictators. That's the problem with dictators, is that certain people do just fine, and everyone else, you might die.
Well, what's his name? The guy from where MS-13's from?
Okay, it's going to start here in a second.
El Salvador.
El Salvador? I mean, see how that dude changed things around? That's what Mexico needs.
Let's see what it looks like in 10 years.
Hey, he's smart. He's like, yo, we'll take your prisoners. Just pay us to hold them.
Tonight, there are growing questions into a surge of youth-led protests taking place across major cities in Mexico.
I would be sick of the cartel, too, if I lived there, just trying to mind my own business.
Over the weekend as some hooded protesters tore down fences around the National Palace, home to President Claudia Sheinbaum.
Yeah, she's absolutely right. The Mexican government lets the cartels do whatever they
get kickbacks.
Well,
they assassinated a ton of people, too.
Oh, yeah, the cartels rule by force, for sure.
Yeah, my heart does go out to them.
And Mexico is a beautiful place, like a beautiful culture. I've been to Mexico several times. We went to Mexico together, loved it.
My stepmom's from Mexico.
She is?
My parents are in Mexico right now.
Look at Nepal. Dude, they freaking burned the prime minister's wife.
Well, that's a bit extreme.
No, like they made their politicians strip them down and threw them in the river.
That must have been a hot story.
Nepal was like not messing around whatsoever. That's so bad. That's so bad. Our veteran viewers will love it. Everybody else will hate it.
That's okay. Someone out there is going to appreciate that besides me.
Someone.
Yeah. Oh, man. One person. Oh, my gosh.
It's like, I get it, bro.
We got one new follower.
Hey, you know what? We're going to change the world one view at a time.
Yeah.
One follower and bad dad joke at a time. It's going to happen. I'm telling you. Like, Tim Kennedy's one-liners, like...
Dude,
I'm not saying you're the dumbest person in the world, but you better hope the dumbest person doesn't die.
When... I love watching his videos because he's like... When he's talking to these Democrats, it's like he's like the depressed grandparent that's trying to educate.
Yes.
So disappointed.
He put that so well.
His
You were
grandkid
exactly
has
right.
gone the wrong way.
It's like trying to have dinner as a grandparent with your grandchild that's like a gothic at the table, you know?
Just like,
We
did
need
you look like you fell in a tackle box.
We need to make a compilation video of Senator Kennedy's best one-liners.
Oh, that'd be good.
I really think
we
need
should
to
definitely do that and put there because that dude is phenomenal. Like, again, he just has that. I'm disappointed in you, grandfather, but I'm going to try speaking some logic into
Like,
you.
disappointment hurts more than yelling.
Oh yeah, that's why he's always like so calm and cool when he's talking to people. It's so hilarious.
Yeah. Well, I still think that Trump, like, we're going to get crushed in the midterms if Trump's tariffs don't yield some positive results and we don't start seeing some fast-moving changes in the economy. Like,
But we already have really seen because, like, think about it, we're at inflation at 9%. It's already down to 3%. Like there has,
That's
it's
fine,
only
but-
been like it hasn't even been a full year, and like he has brought down the cost on certain things.
But the person who's paying $10 a pound of beef doesn't care about that right now. The GDP is doing great. The inflation is slowing. Okay, the stock market is going up. Like, that's great. What about the guy that needs to buy, like, he wants to buy steaks for his family for, like, Sunday dinner?
No, I 100% agree with that. But we also have to sit there and look at the progress that has been made because it doesn't just change overnight.
Well,
And also,
no, it
we should
doesn't.
probably invest in more meat packing companies here in America and stop importing our beef from Brazil and all these other places.
Well, I agree with you, but...
Because that's been the big thing is the Biden administration, there's been a lot of Midwest ranchers that wanted to start their own meat packing company, but they just start stacking all these regulations on top of them, so they couldn't do it. So we're importing the beef you're buying at the grocery store.
Is
More
not
than likely
American
came from Brazil
And I'm
or
gonna
somewhere else.
ask you, what happens to like ground beef when you take it out and leave it on the counter for a while? What happens to it?
I'm an American. I would never let ground beef sit out that long.
Okay, well, it oxidizes, right? It
Yeah.
starts to turn brown.
Starts turning gray, brown, yeah.
Okay, so tell me why we usually get our meat from his ranch, right? We haven't got half a cow coming on its way, but I had to go buy meat, so I bought ground meat, and I opened it up and it was bright red, looked fresh, right? But then when you open it, it's just the outside that was red, the inside was brown.
Yeah.
So
That's disturbing.
it tells me that either they use dyes on the surface in order to make it look fresh. Yeah, that's all it tells me.
Well, I mean, that's definitely still concerning. And, like, a lot of people are on board with Trump's tariffs because he's saying, oh, we have all this promise of investment and we're going to reshore American manufacturing. But that takes us to this article from Politico. Trump's reshoring push is tripping over itself. And what the article is basically saying is that there are people that may want to reshore and bring manufacturing and industry back to America, but the tariff regime in and of itself is preventing them from doing so and still, like, keeping their shorts financially. So I don't know. I think Trump needs to, and I think he will. I think he needs to get this under control.
Cut regulations and get rid of payroll taxes.
Definitely get rid of payroll taxes.
Yes, that'll
Frankly,
bring
we
so
know-
many. That'll bring so many jobs. I kid you not. Like that will make us way more competitive than we are today because that's 10 to 13% of what you're having to pay. Right there.
Well, it's operating costs.
That's taking
That's what I'm
money
saying.
out of some other social thing, you know, whatever services and welfare is taking money out of that.
No, I don't. Because if you take it out of that, then you're going to create that many more jobs, though, or you're going to have being able to pay people that much more. You're going to save 10 to
No, for
13% of your budget right there by
But
not
they'll
having
have
to
to
pay
figure
payroll
out,
taxes.
you know, in session, like what they're going to cut if they were to give, you know, a break to businesses. What are they going to cut first? What program?
Foreign aid.
That works.
Get rid of foreign aid. Only help out people that we should be helping out.
Smile.
Stop giving it toward like
how
comic
about
books
not
in
as
other
much?
countries and all this other stuff. No, there's certain things that we should that are strategically advanced for us that we should definitely invest in. But there's other countries that we're giving, like, why are we doing experiments on beagles? Why are we counting fish in the Bahamas?
Well,
like, why are we doing a study with a fish on a treadmill? What the hell do you think is going to happen? The fish is going to suffocate. This is so stupid. We have millions of dollars in waste of all these stupid, oversized bills that are being like put in. I can go off like.
Well, yeah, but
it's retarded.
that's why Trump is losing. I think losing Gen Z as we move closer to the midterms. He's making all these promises and moving fast and breaking things, and that's great. But they're not seeing real on the ground results, and they're not seeing a future for them. And that pushes people towards radicalization. They're like, hey, democracy's not working for me. I'm going to go with Nick Fuentes, who Tucker Carlson platformed on his show last week, which is we're going to have to do a takedown of that guy, because that dude is frightening.
I don't think we should deplatform people. I think we need to fight bad ideas with good ideas.
Well,
And-
sure, no one's saying that, but like, you're missing the point. So my point is, Fuentes is starting to become more mainstream because he was on Carlson's show, because he does have such a radical following. And if young people don't think democracy is going to work for them, then they're going to jump on Nick Fuentes' like bandwagon. They're going to jump on
what is his whole thing?
Mamdani.
What is Nick Fuentes' whole thing?
The Jews. I mean, if I could sum that up, Hitler wasn't such a bad guy. He's a fan of Stalin, and somehow everything goes back to those blasted Jews. Everything, every ill in the world in your personal life is the Jews.
So being called a Nazi is no longer an insult?
Not for him.
Well, I mean, everybody's a Nazi nowadays if you're center to center, right? I'd have to do more research on him to give my opinion on it.
It won't take long,
I can't,
trust me.
I can't speak much to that.
I know that Tucker refused to go on his show. That was a whole thing.
I would see that. There's a lot of drama surrounding Fuentes because, like, he went on Candace Owens' show and there was a lot of drama. He went on someone else's show and there was a lot of drama. But I watched a podcast that he was on, and he basically told the entire panel that Hitler wasn't such a bad guy. Like, I believe he used those exact words.
I'll have to do my research on it because I don't want to misspeak unless,
Well, I watched this. I just can't remember the podcast, but
Yeah.
he said that. I'm going to have to find it. I'm going to have to find the clip and put it out there. But if the economy and the American dream is not open back up to younger people, we're going to see people go off into the fringe.
Are you talking about jobs? Like, specifically, what does Gen Z want?
Well, they were promised that we're going to focus on domestic issues because we have enough problems as it is. And I agree, America needs to be involved in foreign affairs because it directly
To a
affects
certain
us.
extent.
But we're moving, I mean,
By getting rid of illegal immigrants, we are focusing domestically.
Yeah, I was like, how much do people want in less than a year's time? Like, I mean, he's stopped 8 wars, which I think are amazing. He used tariffs to do it. He's done he's launched the biggest mass deportation there ever was. He's closed the border. I mean, he's getting people to invest back into the country. He's brought inflation down. He's brought gas prices down. Are they where we want them to be? No, but it's been progress because it was going in the opposite direction.
well, could I interject?
Yeah, of course. But I just there's so much that he's already done in a year's time. It hasn't even been a year yet, and he's already accomplished so much. It's like, gosh, like.
Well, Gen Z is obsessed with Israel. They're very isolationist, okay? The Israel question is a completely other podcast that we're going to get into, and I can't wait to do that. But we're moving a carrier strike group and 15,000 Marines to within striking distance of Venezuela when we have Antifa that is attacking TPUSA event attendees at UC Berkeley.
But he also just labeled them terrorists.
Why aren't they arresting them?
I know, but the thing about Antifa and domestic terrorism is not an actual charge federally. You don't get a charge for domestic terrorism. It has to go through like a whole nother Supreme Court or some sort of thing to make an actual designation of a crime as a domestic terrorism. So when they get arrested for things that are defined as domestic terrorism, they get charged with arson, murder, battery, things like that, but they don't
Sure.
get charged with domestic terrorism.
Yeah.
And then also
understand.
he also launched an investigation to find out who's funding him. And then was it Kash Patel or was it Trump that is also going after going to label it like a foreign terrorist group?
Oh, I know what you're talking about, dude. So there is Antifa-like organizations in Germany, Greece, Italy.
Yeah.
Started
They're
in Italy.
also including those in the umbrella.
And so like this is what I mean is like he's going as fast as he also can, but he also just can't like get rid of all of our rights at the same time.
No, he can't. But that's the
the
thing
ste-
about the fringe, though. If Gen Z is like, I'm willing to give up my rights to jump on this bandwagon that says they're out there for me because they want to be able to have a good job. They want to be able to have a home one
Well,
day.
we're millennials, and
I
we
wanna-
thought that we were going to be
yeah.
able to have prices like the 90s, and then all of a sudden 2008 hit, and everything skyrocketed. Homes were like 54,000, and now they're 500,000.
Well, they
Like
bottomed
Burger
out.
King was like $2, and now it's like $10. Like, so
Oh, yeah, fast
like,
food, bro.
Like,
Oof.
remember you actually $1 would actually get you stuff at the grocery store.
I've slept since then. So I don't
So no,
recall.
like the dollar used to actually have power to it, and we have lost that. And it's not about like how much people should be getting paid; it's how much does your dollar go. Like my grandma all the time says, "I lived better when I made $1.50 an hour than I do today." But her gas was
That's
like
powerful.
her gas was like 25 cents a gallon. She's like, I remember when gas hit $1, everybody thought the world was going to crumble because she could. They're just like, this is unbelievable. It's $1 now. I mean, that's where it comes down to the buying power of the dollar. Inflation is horrible. We need to have reverse inflation, and that's the only thing that's going to actually fix things. I think the problem with Gen Z right now is they're the TikTok generation and the tech generation, so they want everything right now versus, hey, let's see the steps that are happening. Where us millennials, like we're the mid roads where we saw like we grew up without technology, and then it just hit us around like high school time.
2005, 2007.
Yeah, and I graduated
Yeah.
in 2007, and so like technology, like we had the BlackBerry was the biggest, the greatest
Oh,
cell
I had
phone
the
there ever
coolest
was.
Oh, I
BlackBerry.
remember that.
I had a 7-Eleven prepaid phone, $20 gave you unlimited texting for the month.
You had a
Motorola-
BlackBerry?
Eventually, when I like big girl job at 18, but before that, I had the Motorola flip phone, the white one. It was so cool. I had Snake.
Yeah, so where I grew up, the BlackBerry and this Motorola phone that you speak of was just a mythical thing that I didn't think really existed until.
Oh, do you remember dial-up? Man, if I wanted to game online and I was,
I mean, we saw
Yeah.
cassette tapes to CDs to MP3.
And
We went from
VHS,
VHS, where you actually had to take it out and put it in the rewinder, to DVDs, to Blu-ray, to whatever we're at now.
oh, the
I mean,
anti-skip
deal.
CD was a big thing. It was expensive. I would go for a run in high school with my anti-skip CD because every time I'd run, it would be like,
and so like we know what it's like for delayed gratification of things where Gen Z wants it now, and we need to understand, like, I'm for isolationists to a certain extent. Like, we still need to maintain power. There's still things that we need to do, but I don't think, again, we shouldn't be counting fish in the Bahamas. We shouldn't be giving aid to countries who don't like us. Like, we should be leveraging trade, like Trump's thing that he did in the Middle East. Like, look at all of the relationships he's actually really doing and how he used the tariffs to stop wars.
Did he? But did he? So I'm just gonna play
Look how
devil's.
Pakistan was like, thank you so much, Trump, for actually doing this.
They're
It
trying to
stopped us from actually like having a big problem with two nuclear powers like going to fight each other.
Well, I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm going to do my best to put myself in Gen Z shoes. All right. And what they see is like, why are we messing with Venezuela? It's not our problem. Why are we giving money to Israel, even though we actually make money off of our relationship with Israel, for those of you that don't actually know? But that's another discussion for a later day that we'll get into. They're like, why is Trump promising jobs for Americans, but he's opening up the H-1B program to come into this country?
I
like,
agree with
more
that.
people to come into this country.
Yeah.
Like, I was promised mass deportations now. We only have 500,000 out at the end of this year. That's not nearly enough to counteract the 30 or so million that are actually here.
it's still not going to be beneficial to those like tech companies though, because with the $100,000 like fee basically per person, that's pretty much more or as much as they're offering these people to come over, and it's like their salary for a year. So it's not really beneficial. I know growing up in Seattle, Microsoft is huge for, for like Chinese, immigrants coming over to work at Microsoft. I feel like that's also why Seattle was one of the first ground zeros for COVID, because there was a lot of people from China that were traveling back and forth to see family, and they were bringing it over.
And see, I agree with that H-1B visa thing. Like, that shouldn't be a thing. I think that's jobs that could be going to these actual college-educated kids or whatever people are doing.
Yeah,
in
and
tech
there's also a
whatnot.
loophole for that $100,000 fee. That $100,000 like fee levied by the government got plastered all over the news. I'm gonna have to dig it up and find it, but some Congress lady, she went through it and read it, and there's like an exception. There's a loophole to that. So these companies can still have these people over here instead of giving these jobs to Americans. And that's why, like, I'm for Trump moving fast and breaking things, because we do need to move quickly, especially before midterms. But he needs to, or whoever around him that's telling him what to do or giving him some direction, is disentangle this tariff policy so we can actually reshore. Because, he said a bunch of times, oh, this person, this company and country, we're going to invest $5 billion in the U.S. We're going to build this factory. We're going to do this. Where's the money, and when is ground being broke? Because as far as I'm aware, no ground has been broke, no money has been exchanged.
Can you want to Google the NVIDIA thing of what's going on with that? Because that was a big investment right there.
I just got an idea. I'll look it up. But what if, let's say, okay, we're going to charge Microsoft $100,000 per person that they bring over from China or wherever, right?
Yeah.
Instead, they go to colleges and find people who can do the job, and then they use that money to pay off their student debt.
Ooh, that's a good one.
So then we just have less people having debt right out. They got a job, and they can focus on saving up for a house.
And I agree with you, and we can counteract that by having the government stop subsidizing education that doesn't work. Mm-hmm. Underwater basket weaving will not net you a good paying job. Liberal arts degrees, like most average blue collar working people like us, we can't afford to have a liberal arts degree because it's not going to get us anywhere in life.
Yeah, that's...
What it's going to do for Microsoft is, one, either they're going to be like, oh, we really have to use this program to go find someone right now, because someone who can really do it, or they're just going to hire Americans. I don't want to pay $100,000, so I'm just going to hire them.
Well, that's the other part of this whole rapid shift. Like, you can force all these people to move over, which we haven't seen anybody reshore anything. We've seen a lot of promises. I have not seen anything where someone actually reshored.
That's why I'm interested in NVIDIA.
Well, NVIDIA is an American company.
No, it's a Taiwanese company.
Are you sure?
They made all the microchips. Yeah, they're a GPU company. And so you have like AMD and that we get all of the stuff that is from them comes from Taiwan. That's why they're like the big chip manufacturers. They're major with AI and everything else like that. And then,
but I thought they were an American company. They just made product in Taiwan.
that could be, but that's probably why they're doing it at
It says for the first time they will produce NVIDIA AI supercomputers entirely in the U.S.
There we go. That's what I mean by bringing jobs to the U.S. and away from Taiwan.
So when is that supposed to happen?
So I guess they're in the stage of, with their manufacturing partners, to design and build their facilities.
So it hasn't happened yet.
It's not even been a year.
I know, but I'm playing devil's advocate sitting in Gen Z
And
shit.
what
Well,
I would
that's what-
say to
that's what I'm
Gen Zs,
playing
have
the-
some patience.
Yeah, that's what I would say is like calm down. Like it hasn't even been a year. It didn't take like America wasn't just like it takes time.
It does take time to
Like
move the
this
rudder.
isn't TikTok. This isn't Vines. This isn't like
Vine's dead.
Instagram Reels. Like
Things
Vine's
don't
dead, bro.
happen
Oh,
overnight. Just have some patience.
see, I'm hardly on social media yet. Like so.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but that's my thing. Is like things take time. Like he's one dude, and there's a bunch going on, and he's trying to get as much accomplished as he possibly can. Nothing is always going to be perfect, but things take time. Starting a business takes time. Like everything takes time. Building a whole freaking manufacturing, you can't just here like this isn't a video game where you click and the little builders build it in like 3 minutes, and you're like, oh my, you know what I mean?
I understand,
Like,
but at the same time, we have to move fast on the conservative side, and we have to attack the left because midterms are right around the corner.
And see, this is where I think the fundamental disagreement comes. I think we are moving fast. I think that we are doing a lot. Like I said, like the deportations, yeah, I'd love for them to pick up, but there's also been a lot of roadblocks that they've had to get through to do these deportations.
Which is why we have to
A
attack
lot
the
of
left.
a lot of it is the negative propaganda from the left. We're fighting a media war right now. And it is succeeding, and it's propaganda, and it's radicalizing people. I feel like if we want to get ahead and show people the truth and the good things that are going on, that there has to be more voices out there and more media that is unbiased or bipartisan type media.
Well, we're biased, but we're telling the truth, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
like,
we also
yeah.
post links at the bottom so that people can read it for themselves.
And
Yep. Source material is a good
And
move.
we
And we
cited
played-
CNN.
And we play like the freaking devil's advocate, like we are. Like you're doing Gen Z's argument, I'm doing like the millennial argument from how I was raised, anyway. Of like things are moving fast, especially compared to most other presidents trying to get things done.
And my fear and concern is that given the rapid radicalization of Gen Z, we're running out of time to make these things happen and keep our republic.
Well, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I need to do more research on the Nick Fuentes.
He's
guy.
the left's boogeyman. So when they're trying to drum up support for why we should hate Republicans and conservatives and MAGA, he is the poster child for it.
Yeah.
Is it because he's such an isolationist, or because of the Jew stuff, or
It's the Israel stuff. It is him being warm towards Hitler and Stalin. He said on Tucker Carlson's show that they were talking about whatever date it was, and he said, "Oh, that's a special day to me." And he's like, "Why?" He said, "Because it's Stalin's birthday. I'm a fan." You're a fan of
so
a
how
mass
can he be?
murderer?
So how can he be? Well, also like on the right, but then a fan of Stalin.
No,
who's-
he is part of the woke Reich, not the woke right, the woke Reich. He is
he's-
fascist. He is very friendly towards fascism. He is a white identitarianist, and
So
he-
the left is going white supremacy?
I mean, they place him on the ideological right. He places himself on the ideological right. I kind of am with the argument that fascism is not of the right; it's of the left.
Well, the Nazi Party was the National Socialist. Will you look up what the Nazi actually stood for? Because it was a left-wing thing.
Nazi propaganda is not even allowed in Germany.
Well, the thing is like the reason that the communists and the fascists and the Nazis, the reason Russia and Germany hate each other so much is because they're both socialists, but they just disagreed on which socialism was the best socialism that went out of it.
Okay, so Nazi stands for the far-right National Socialist German Workers'
But
Party.
you can't be right-wing and socialist.
Exactly.
Like
That's the point.
that is the propaganda
According
that is
to
put out
Google
there.
AI.
Yeah, it's Google. Like, no, you cannot be socialist and right wing.
It's
like,
in the Oxford definitions. Yeah.
yeah. And
Well,
I'm
that's
sure.
the point. That's why I put him on the left.
Yeah, like, and you can't be a nationalist and not love your countrymen. Like that. Like, it's just.
Everything is getting so confusing.
Well, that's what their whole thing is to confuse, to divide,
That's what Satan does.
and all
He's
this stuff. Yes, a
the
Satan is to
bringer of
confuse
confusion.
and divide, and you have. It's just.
So, interesting point about Fuentes is that he loudly proclaims he is a faithful Catholic. And I'm like, bro, the stuff you're saying is not in line.
Well, that's
Like, at
that's the
all.
devil right there, trying to bring confusion.
Oh, yeah, but I don't think, no, he claims that. Like, I don't think there's widespread support for him among Catholics. I think he claims Catholicism, is what I'm saying.
Communism and fascism are two sides to the same coin.
Right. And that's where I put Fuentes, but because he's a white identitarianist, the left says he's the MAGA boogeyman. And he was a big supporter of President Trump.
He probably is he one of those that has good points and really bad points?
He's like every other con artist. He mixes just a modicum of truth with a bunch of crazy, but just enough truth that if you're not savvy, you might say, "Oh yeah, I could see that." You know,
That's why it's important to read things for yourself.
he presented some revisionist history about Hitler's invasion of Poland, and like some dates were mixed up and some things were said. I don't want to say and be wrong, but I got the feeling from watching some of his stuff that there is a lot of revisionist history that he presents as well, you weren't told the truth because the victors wrote the story and Churchill was a bad guy and all this other kind of stuff.
Man,
like
Poland.
that's him.
And Poland's a red country, man. The Winged Hussars, coolest cavalry unit ever.
Well, Poland loves their culture and they defend it, and I think it's awesome. When
Me too.
When I went to Poland last year, loved it.
And they defend their borders. Like
yes, they do.
legitimately defend their borders. They're like, no.
Like they put a statue of the Blessed Virgin in front of a mosque with a very small crescent. It was right by my room I was staying in, and every night there was like 60 to 100 people out there of all ages praying the rosary, like right in front of the mosque, in front of the statue of the Blessed Virgin. Like they say that they are a Christian country. This is our culture, and we're going to protect that, and I respect that. Muslims do the same thing with their culture, and I respect that. So I don't know. I think Poland's pretty cool. All right, guys, that's it for the show today. Thanks for listening. Much more to come next week. Remember, like the show, share it with everyone, and subscribe.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of references for you to read through at the bottom. I suggest you read it for yourself.
Follow us on X, YouTube, and Instagram. Until next time.
Bye-bye.
All right.